Alright guys, before we get into the video, let's talk about futtrading.co.uk. Every single method you see in my videos can be found over on the website with buying and selling prices for almost every single card on the game. £10 a month gets you access to tier 1 buying prices. That's icons, special cards, silvers and Thursday flips. For £15 a month, you get access to tier 2. That gives you live filters, gold chem styles, UCL cards, and our amazing area of fluctuations where the market is continually monitored for highs and lows. You guys are then notified when to buy low and buy and sell high, basically. A really easy way to make coins. We've recently introduced a tier 3 thanks to you guys asking for us to develop a bot. Basically, we came up with a program and what it does is it pings you every single minute pretty much. I think it's every 3 minutes. You will get pings telling you when cards are low and what to sell those cards for. I'm going to show you an example of that now. I'll be right back. Alright guys, and this is the area of the Discord for tier 3 users. As you can see, it is pinging you guys with the current price of these cards and the live target sell price. You have to cross-reference that with what the sell price has been recently and use some of your own market knowledge, but this runs 24 hours a day to make sure you guys are getting continual deals that you can keep making coins from. The legitimate way, a new ping's just come up right there for new cards that you can go out right now, buy and sell. So check it out, get involved, futtrading.co.uk, but for now, let's get into the video. Yo, what is up guys? Welcome back to a new video with me, Fuzzball40. As always, if you're new around here, make sure you subscribe down below and make sure you got notifications turned on so you never miss an upload. I say it all the time, but make sure you check out the Road to Glory in the morning. You guys are loving that series. I'm loving doing it. I'm really enjoying it. We're currently on the Road to Glory account, as you guys know, because like I've said, the main account, we've got 6 million coins invested into fodder. Looking like a very good investment. Some of the high rated stuff's up by about 5,000 or 6,000 coins at the moment. We're holding out until tonight, see what the content is, and then we'll look to get it sold on, I think, and start seeing what profit we are making. But yeah, basically, this video is all about what you guys should be doing tonight and in the coming days to go and make coins. So, first thing to mention is, let's look ahead to coming content, and the first thing that I think you want to be looking at are the UCL cards. Now, right now, UCL cards are at a premium, they're up in price. People are doing the League SBC a lot of the time to get packs for SERIE TOTS and things like that. But we've got the Champions League final on Saturday, and there will be UCL content around that, and it probably will require the UCL cards. Tonight and tomorrow, you're going to get supply. You're also going to get mass supply of them during the lightning rounds for League and TOTS on Friday. I'd be looking at those cards. Right now, what I'd do if I were you is go and get a rough idea of what the major League TOTS are doing, especially the teams that are involved. Chelsea, City, those two teams, the players in that league, obviously in the Premier League, what they're currently costing with the demand currently, and what they'll likely go up to and drop to in the coming days. So let's say theoretically you've got Ben Chilwell sitting at, I don't know, 2k or something. I'll look actually. What is he saying sitting at the moment? Let's have a look at Chilwell. Let's see, he's sat at Chilwell special. So right now Ben Chilwell sat at, there you go, 2,600 coins. It's the cheapest you can buy him for right now. If you get supply tomorrow and Friday and he gets down to like 1k, could be a good opportunity to buy him and cards like him in that league, just because they're gonna be needed, and they tend to spike, and EA probably will make a thing of some sort of decent content for the Champions League. And again, you know what they're roughly worth at the moment, you know what you can make for them in the long term, so it's something to be mindful of. I'll be looking at that. But today is Wednesday, and you guys know we talk about this every single week. It is Thursday flips time. On the website, if you're a website subscriber, you guys will have this all done for you. It is there every single week, and it has been incredible for the last few weeks. It's always been good this year. We've done very well on them, but because of the last few weeks and TOTS and the game being predictable, in that sense, Thursday flips have done extremely well. And honestly, with the Thursday flips, you haven't even got to work that hard or have that many coins to get involved in them at the moment. Because a lot of the lower end stuff that links to stuff in those leagues, so for example, the lower end stuff in the Bundesliga, it still does quite well. And outside of that, cards that have already got TOTS that you can't afford, people go and buy the cheaper ones of those as well into Weekend League, which means that you can buy those cards. But what we'll do is head over to Futbin. I want to show you 2 cards from last week, the 2 that I invested in, how well they did. And then we'll look at the SERIE TOTS and what you might want to be thinking for link investments. I'll be right back. Right guys, so here we are on Futbin, and if you remember last week, we looked at the team like we did the week before, and I told you guys about the area that I thought the team was weakest in terms of affordable options, and that was at centre-back. You have Hummels here at 100k, no one really ran Hummels last week, it wasn't going to happen, 76 pace weren't going to happen. Lacroix, obviously incredibly usable, but 400k, no one else. There was no one else outside of that was that usable. And so I said centre-backs in my opinion do well, and the one that I invested in heavily was Lucas Klosterman. And if I show you him, at his low point in sort of the Wednesday, Thursday time, 103k, I bought him in and around that. You guys saw that. Eventually got to a high of 124,000 coins. So before tax, 21,000 coins profit on Klosterman. Upamecano actually had a lower point on Friday of 98. I think people bought into him and sold him off at that point. But 104k here. Now, I picked him up in around the 97, 98k. Remember, these are always only averages. It's 103k that day, but obviously you'll always see him come up with undercuts of 5, 6k at times. So Upamecano at 103k, he reached a high of 112. Again, I picked him up about 97, 98. So you're looking at, before tax again, something like 15k profit before tax, so that's sort of 9k, 10k profit per card after that. So it was easy to see that. You could see that in this team, and it wasn't difficult. And so I called it. It worked well. It's worked well every week. There was no point really looking at the fullbacks because we had two here that weren't too bad. But what I do want to quickly show you is something I said about the cards being out of packs. We'll go into more detail about it tomorrow. But when these cards come out of packs, they tend to sort of take a dip initially in that week, and then they start to bounce again. And we're seeing that now with Angelino. Baku again, if I look at him. Why is Impact's being continued packed as an 88? He sort of got like dropped. And then into Serie A TOTS now since then, risen. Dropped off a little bit, but again, we're starting to see a little bounce back. These TOTS on that packs, they do rise into weekend leagues, so be mindful of that. But let's look at these Serie A TOTS. This is a Serie A TOTS, and this one is a much more difficult one, in my opinion, to look at. On the website, we're going to be looking very hard at what we think is going to be good and what isn't going to be good. But you've got, if you look at the strikers, for example, you've got Luis Muriel, who's a very good card for 158k. Not the most linkable card, but still a very good card. Obviously, he perfect into Zapata we got early on, if anyone did that SBC. Martinez, very good again at 310k. Then you've got Lukaku and Ronaldo. So strikers-wise, the strikers are still going to go up in this Serie A, but if you're going to look for a good level striker in that league, you're probably just going to buy Muriel or Martinez, realistically. You're going to buy one of those two cards, in my opinion. I don't think there's going to be any doubt in my mind. Then we look at wingers. You've got Insigne at 290k. You've got Berardi at... This card's way too cheap, in my opinion, for 38k. It's a very good card for what it is. They're not overly expensive, but left wing is somewhere I'd probably still look. Not everyone's got 290k to go and buy a left winger in, especially if you're buying Martinez or someone like that. There's an opportunity there. Also, you've got Mertens here at striker as well for 1.2 million. Then I look at the central midfielders, and this is where I think could do relatively well. Kessie at 612k. Again, not everyone's got 600k for Kessie. You then do have the pool, okay? But they're really your only two major centre mid options for this league. So centre midfielders I think could do quite well, relatively well. There are quite a few decent central midfielders in this league, but the Serie A isn't really blessed in terms of a league with a lot of great midfielders. It's quite not an average league for that, but it's not as good as, say, perhaps the Premier League might be or Bundesliga. There's a lot more in that, in my opinion, in those leagues. We've had a little look at CDMs and centre mids. You've got the Barella objective, which is something you need to be mindful of because people can do that. But outside that, you've got Lucas Leiva. You've got Chiellini, Vidal's an SBC. You've got Zielinski. This card at 66k could do quite well, I think, this week, realistically. But it's not really one of those leagues that's blessed with a lot of great central midfielders. And that's something that I think you've got to think about when it comes to these cards. Is everyone going to have Kessie in the pools? Everyone going to have done Barella? I'm not sure. And that's why I think some of these cards could bounce quite well. Outside of that, centre-backs. In my opinion, you're pretty well covered off as centre-backs. The other thing is that people play full-backs as centre-backs anyway. But Skriniar's not usable, so that's something that's important. But you've got Romero of 85 pace, who is a usable card, and De Vrij, who's 2 ratings higher at 90k with 83 pace. These are usable. But this league is all about, the meta this year is all about full-backs and centre-backs. Cuadrado here, for example, 91 rated, 97 pace, got a good jump in, could potentially be used there. But if you use fullbacks, the two major fullbacks for Serie A, if we look at them, if you look at right backs and right wing backs, Cuadrado himself and Bruno Perez. So if you use Cuadrado at right back, you then can't use Cuadrado at centre back. If you use centre back, you can't use him at right back. Then you get Bruno Perez there, could do quite well. Positions left back, left wing back. Again, the major left back in this league, pretty much the only left back in this league is Hernandez, because obviously that's the only one that anyone really uses because he's got pace. Now, if you're going to use him at centre back or put him at left back, you can't use him. You can only use one of the two. So there's opportunity there, in my opinion. And that's probably what I'd be looking at. Donnarumma perfectly covers off the goalkeeper area. Right mid, in my opinion, if you're going to look for right mid for this league, I don't see why you look beyond Berardi realistically. I can't see a reason why you look beyond that card, and it's very, very cheap anyway. To me, that's... You've got Kulusevski, who is 80,000 coins. Berardi arguably as good, if not better than that card. I'd argue it's better, personally. You've got Kulusevski. Again, Kulusevski could do well. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. Perisic, I'm pretty sure Perisic is available on the market. Why do I think it's an SBC? It's not. Yeah, he is available on the market. Perisic, right mids could do well, but because you've got Berardi existing there and the Lozano SBC, I'd be a little bit mindful of that in terms of buying too heavily into them. I do like fullbacks. I do like the centre backs in this league because again, if you're going to use Hernandez and Cuadrado, you're going to need to get centre backs. Romero and De Vrij though are both very usable, but centre backs could do quite well. But it will be on there. But these are the things you've got to think about. Now, outside of that, again, I stress it and I say it all the time. Look to these cards once they are being packed tomorrow. They will rise up in value bit by bit by bit. We saw last week the low point of these cards being the Thursday, as we said before. So Thursday, Baku, for example, down at 51k. Into Weekend League, hit a high of 61k. So basically 10,000 coins profit there before tax, which is relatively easy to pick up. Angelino, again, low point pretty much of the Thursday at 52. Got to 53 on the Friday. By Sunday, 64. So we get 12,000 coin profit on that card. If we look at some more of the Bundesliga TOTS, let's have a look at Müller. Look at the lower end stuff tends to do better. If you're wondering why I'm looking at lower end stuff, it's tended to do better. But there are always exceptions to this rule. Remember that. Müller, for example, a low of 257 last week on Xbox, got to a high of 276. So like it's good profit there. 257, 276 is 13k off that. It's 263. So you're looking like 6k. But why would you buy Müller at that price if you could go buy Baku or Angelino? Personally, that's why I'd be looking at my money. Andre Silva, again, exception to a rule here slightly because he's not that usable. He's always fodder. He's not a card that anyone's really going to use up top. So again, to me, a bit of an exception to the rule there in terms of it. They've got to be usable cards for you to be interested in them in that sense. And now Marcel Sabitzer, again, has really sort of flatlined, if I'm being entirely honest with you. 92 on average there, 95 by Monday. He's not really done bits. He's got down, if anything. You've got to be mindful. They've got to be linkable. They've got to be like relatively usable. This is a great card. It is a very good card in my opinion, but it's just not the most linkable card in the world. But they tend to come down in price. And again, remember, these prices you see on the Thursday, they are only averages. They're only averages of what the card costs. You can obviously get them on undercuts. If he's 92 there, you would have been able to get him at 84, 85. Sell him on at 95 to 98. Like I said last week, the profit is there. If you're looking at the ones at Serie A, if I can find Serie A, where is that? Is it here? We'll find out. We'll go 2 in the weeks. If we go Serie A, if the sort of cards that I'd be looking at for that are people like Romero, potentially De Vrij, Berardi himself, I think could do well in the long term. It's a relatively usable card. Skriniar I wouldn't look at. It's pretty much fodder at this point. The pool potentially, he's 93 rated, quite cheap as it is, might get even lower. He's someone that I probably would look at. Donnarumma maybe. Again, 60k for the best goalkeeper in the league isn't too bad in my opinion. And so that's the sort of cards I'd be looking at to buy tomorrow if I'm going to buy them. But right now, like I say, it's all about the links into Serie A. It doesn't mean just look at the Serie A. You can look at icons that link to these cards without a doubt. You can look at any league realistically because people are still going to be building teams in their leagues. But it's the links and the Thursday flips are done best when you're linking them directly to the teams that have got the TOTS there. CSL and Eredivisie wise, I really wouldn't care that much about those leagues if I'm being entirely honest. A lot of the cards in these leagues are quite cheap anyway. So like if you're going to go ahead and buy someone like, you've got Marlon here for example, it's relatively easy to link across to like Tadic or Klaassen, and like Coop Miners for example, a very, very good card. To me, I wouldn't really be looking at too many sort of link investments on these guys because there's so many infinitely usable cards here that aren't that expensive. For example, Bergwijn, if you look at this card, he's relatively linkable to anyone that's there and he's 50k. Like, I personally, I wouldn't be bothered about looking to link investments in that league. And again, same thing for the CSL. Who are you really gonna link up here? If you're going by like Markel to you, for example, you can just link him into Oscar for a strong link for 100k and 48k, and even cheaper than that tomorrow. The only thing with these guys is I think they'll do quite well once they're packed like mad, and I think you can buy those once they're getting towards being out of packs. This Moises, by the way, this card here, to me, one of the best value cards in this game at the moment. 40k for this card is nuts. It's a brilliant card. Very, very strong everywhere, basically. Agility slightly low, but it's a brilliant card for 40k. The CSL does have a lot of very good cards in it that are very usable. I'd be looking at this league for, if you've got not much budget, there's a lot that I think you can get from this league to link up. For example, Jonathan Vieira there, that 89 rated cam looks fantastic. The Cambu looks brilliant for what he costs. So if you need cheap beasts, I think this is where you're looking, in my opinion. But there are your plays at the moment. Like I say, keep one eye on the content coming, without a doubt. Keep an eye on fodder as well, because fodder does drop on Thursday mornings temporarily and then bounces back to whatever the demand was on the Wednesday for it, with continual supply. And obviously EA are currently banging out continual like guarantee packs. They'll bang out some more like 85s times 5s and stuff like that. Serie A has been a bit quieter for that compared to other leagues, but there's definitely profit to be made. But that's the end of the video. If you are new around here, as always, make sure you subscribe down below. Make sure your notifications are turned on so you never miss an upload. But for now, I'm out. Peace out. I'll speak to you soon.